Today we're going to talk about urushiol. Urushiol is a very interesting compound that's present in all sorts of things. We're going to learn about what it is and where it is found. So let's get into it. So urushiol is a group of toxic organic compounds. This is urushiol right here. What's interesting is that it has this thing called an R group. All that means is that this is where you can attach a bunch of different pieces, like Legos. So that R group could have this structure or this, other things. I'm just making this up. I don't really know if this is actually there, but it's just a chain. And because there's a group, there's all kinds of combinations you can have, but they all are toxic, especially with the skin. It's very oily. So if you rub up against the plant like poison ivy, which has urushiol, very quickly your skin has an allergic reaction called contact dermatitis. And because it's oily, it soaks in, making it very difficult to remove. Urushiol is found in poison ivy, like I just mentioned, poison oak, the Chinese lacquer tree, where lacquerware comes from, and mangoes. 85% of people are allergic to poison ivy, which is why most of the time, if you come into contact with it, you will have an allergic reaction. This compound is present in something called oleoresin. It's a thick, viscous substance that's present in trees and also gives us the odor of certain trees. So let's talk about the allergic reactions that can happen when you contact these plants. If you've ever had an allergic reaction to these plants, you probably have had itchiness, redness, your skin has been swollen, maybe some blisters, pain, and a few other symptoms. This is a good example of an allergic reaction right here. And as I mentioned before, it's present in poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac, and a few other things. It's also present in mangoes in pretty much every part. The leaves, the skin, the stem, the sap or the blood of the tree where the nutrients come from. It's important to note that mango allergies are not very common, and it's a combination of urushiol and some other chemicals present in mangoes. Now for some people, if you eat a mango, you might feel a little tingle in your mouth, but for those who are actually allergic, you'll feel tingle and you'll have a contact dermatitis-like rash in the mouth, around it, and especially on the lips. Very rarely could you get something called anaphylaxis, where the airway closes up and breathing becomes very difficult. For those who are allergic, it's mainly in the skin, but because it's in the skin, it's present in the actual fruit, the fleshy part, which is why it produces an allergic reaction. Lastly, we're going to briefly talk about lacquerware. So lacquerware is a really interesting creation from all sorts of different cultures. Lacquer is a shiny coating used to decorate various kinds of wood and metal. The traditional lacquerware is urushiol based. This comes from the sap of the Chinese lacquer tree, which is right here. So you have Japanese lacquerware, which is called urushi, Chinese, Burmese, Mexican, Vietnamese. It's a really interesting style of design. As you can see, some very beautiful pieces. If you Google it, you'll find all sorts of really beautiful colors and techniques. I just wanted to mention it because I think it's interesting that you have a compound that produces a very common allergic reaction, but it's also used to create some beautiful works of art. Let's go through the summary and review what we learned. So we learned that urushiol is a group of toxic compounds that produce this allergic reaction called contact dermatitis. It's present in all sorts of things like poison ivy and mangoes, and it comes from the thick resin of certain trees. Contact dermatitis is the main allergic reaction. You can expect itchiness, redness, pain, and these reactions comes from all sorts of different trees like poison ivy. With mangoes, it's present in almost every part of the fruit, and those who are allergic can get a contact dermatitis-like reaction in and around the mouth and the lips. We then closed out briefly talking about lacquerware, this beautiful technique used to produce amazing works of art like paintings, tables, traditionally coming from the Chinese lacquer tree, from Japan, Mexico, Vietnam, and all sorts of different places. So that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends, and I'll be back soon with another video.